All right, so for the last video in my little mini series about why leftists should be supportive of Biden, I'm going to explain why we as a community are not done yet. And actually, this is only the beginning for us. So, as we discussed, Biden's policy, while objectively better than Trump's, is not exactly ideal for those that are like us. Now that we've won the election and it's looking good, we can look towards the future of how we can further affect American democracy to help those in the working class. Progressive policies are proven to be very popular with the U.S. population, which 72% of Americans supporting some form of Medicare for all, and oftentimes these are states that are considered hard red states, such as Texas and Montana. A lot of people there support some sort of Medicare for all. And actually, congressmen and people at all levels of government who ran on a progressive platform, including the Green New Deal and Medicare for All, actually, and were endorsed by the Democratic Socialists of America, had a 75% win rate in their elections this year, which is crazy. It shows that obviously these political policies are very popular with the public. And oftentimes, as I said, these were literally in like red districts. I just thought that was kind of a cool little tidbit. It's no secret that Biden and other Democrats underperformed this year. This was projected to be an absolute blowout. And while we did give Trump quite a shellacking, winning 306 to 232, it's obvious that Biden underperformed, and the future of America was a little testy for a bit because we had the red mirage on election night. I know myself, I was worried, despite the fact that I knew about the mail-in ballots and how they were going to be overwhelmingly in Biden's favor. In the House of Representatives this year, the Democrats lost 8 seats, and they also failed to take control of the Senate. So we retain our majority in the House of Representatives, but now we are sitting at a 48 to 50 Senate deficit, which can be decided by electing 2 Democrats in Georgia's runoff election within the next couple months, with like Loeffler and Ossoff, And it's no secret that the appealing of the Democratic Party to the center-right Republicans is not working. I kind of spoiled it a little bit, but John Kasich endorsed Joe Biden's campaign this year, and so did John McCain's wife. And John McCain's wife may have allowed us to win Arizona, but Kasich, who is a Republican from Ohio, did not help us win the state. So as we can see, kind of appealing to center-right doesn't exactly work for the Democratic Party. Because, as I mentioned, there is a huge cult of personality built up around President Trump. And that is not going to be solved by a Republican from Ohio who failed his presidential election bid. It's a really poor way of swinging supporters from the GOP over to the Democratic Party, even for just this election. Democrats have said in like their own internal chatter that the progressives are almost the reason they lost their seats this year, which is actually quite false. As I mentioned before, those who were endorsed by the Democratic Socialists of America had a 75% win rate, and I'll probably put some figures up here about how so many Americans are in support of a livable minimum wage or Medicare for all or the Green New Deal in some capacity. An interesting point, actually, was the fact that $15 minimum wage passed this year in Florida, despite the fact that Biden lost the state quite decisively. So it's no secret that the Democrats underperformed this year. and something that actually directly contradicts the Democratic establishment's idea that the progressives almost lost them this election, was members of AOC's squad, like Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar, actually spent a lot of time like canvassing and getting people out to vote, getting people registered to vote. And this actually was credited with possibly winning Joe Biden the presidential election, because they come from very important states, Minnesota and Michigan, respectively. These states were very important for Joe Biden to win this year. And Rashida Tlaib, coming from Wayne County in that general area, it was obviously very, very important that she get out and try to motivate a group of people that actually doesn't historically get out to vote very well. At least they didn't in 2016. This can be credited with Biden's victory can almost be accredited with this. Another thing is the social movements that actually came about this year. So towards the start of the year, we had the disgusting killing of George Floyd, and many, many others. George Floyd's death was the catalyst for what we now know as the Black Lives Matter movement. The Black Lives Matter movement had been around before, obviously, back in 2014-15. But nowadays, Black Lives Matter has millions and millions of people who go to protests and marches on their behalf for them. And a lot of these people are not necessarily even POCs. They're those who obviously detest and hate the violence that is coming towards these groups. Before Black Lives Matter actually came into full swing in June, the Republicans were actually leading the charge for voter registration. And after Black Lives Matter, it actually encouraged a lot of young people, such as us, or people of color, to get out and vote. And obviously, these groups, young people, people of color, do not vote quite often. White old people are the people that vote the most. And obviously, that vote favors immensely towards Republicans. The social movement, I will say, definitely is the catalyst that allowed Biden to win this election. I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope I didn't bore you too much. Yeah, thank you guys. I actually kind of enjoyed making these. You saw me look over to the side a lot because I got my kind of like a teleprompter here. It's my script. So thanks, guys. Thanks so much for watching.